Welcome to the BTG podcast. My name is Steve, but today I will be passing on the podcast host to my buddy Cronin. Cronin will be discussing Dota 2, virtual reality, and Dota 2 with virtual reality. So without further ado, let's get on with the show.
All right, so our first game we're going to be talking about Dota 2, and with us we have Radu, a writer for BreakTheGame.net, and I apologize for butchering your name.
It's okay.
I tried several times during our test sessions, and I couldn't get it right. I apologize. So,
It's okay. Thank you for having me, Cronin. Yeah, Dota 2, we'll be talking about Dota 2, and there are three main subjects I want to talk about. First is the fall shuffle, which is going on at the moment. Then there will be the upcoming tournaments, which we have 3 right now. And finally, the fall update, which should be coming sometime this month, I think they said. Soon. We shouldn't be waiting much for it.
When was it last year? So we can maybe have an idea.
The updates aren't usually, there isn't usually a fall update. Valve just says, hey, we're gonna have a big update in this period of time or after some time. So right now we have the fall update. Last update was in spring, the spring cleaning one, which was pretty much a bug only update. Everybody had to submit all their bugs and odd interactions, and they pretty much cleaned some of them, but not a lot. And now we have the fall update. But first of all, let's talk about the fall shuffle, because the whole scene is at the moment breaking apart, because a lot of teams have either disbanded, either dropped a good amount of their players. Then we have the Chinese scene, who unanimously, all the big organizations in China dropped all of their players, and we'll talk about it in detail.
Right.
And then we have
now what can we touch on the false shuffle or the shuffle real quick? Because I watched Dota myself fairly heavily, but I don't follow everything on the back end. So can you touch on that? I don't know what the shuffle is, unfortunately. Maybe some new people that are just getting into Dota might not know as well.
Yeah, of course. The fall shuffle was Valve's way of bringing a bit more stability into the scene. Before it was implemented, everybody could switch teams freely. You could switch a team one day before the tournament. And usually it was up to the tournament organizers to decide if it's okay or not.
Yeah.
So Valve implemented last year a fall shuffle, which is a period of time, usually 2 weeks before one of Valve's tournaments, which is either a major or the international. And in this period of time, you are free to change the roster of your teams. But if you change your roster after the shuffle period, you aren't eligible for an invite, either in a regional invite, either a main invite. So you have to go through the open qualifiers and regional qualifiers to reach the main event.
Now, and you said that was as of right now, that's only for Valve specific tournaments.
Yes, only Valve imposes this period, but it also has changed this year. Last year there was just, hey, this is the period in which you can change your teams, and that's it. And there was a problem last year when a player was kicked out of his team 2 days before the shuffle period ended, and he was just left to sort things out himself. And Valve responded to that with this updated version of the fall shuffle, which was divided into 2 segments. First of all, it's the kick or leave period. Teams can kick their players or allow their players to leave, which ended today on the 4th of September.
Okay.
And after the 4th of September, if you're still part of a team, you're locked in that team.
Okay.
And we move to the second period, which is the invite period. Players who have left or been kicked out of a team are now eligible to be invited into other teams or form teams for themselves.
Okay. Now, how do you feel this is going to, if this is going to impact the Dota 2 scene for that in a good way, negative or positive? Because I feel as just kind of a a watcher of the games rather than everything in the back end. It might help me actually follow who stays, who's with a team, because that's one thing that I have a problem with pretty much all games is that there's so much shuffling around and it's so hard because I like to follow a lot of games, but I just can't follow all the games and all the roster changes. So do you feel this is a good thing or a bad thing? Should other games follow?
Looking at the Chinese shuffle, it's a good thing because specifically for the Chinese scene, all players were under a contract, just like you have in football. So if you
Okay.
wanted to leave a team and the contract didn't expire, you had to pay a lot of money, or somebody had to pay a lot of money to take you out of the team and bring you into theirs.
Okay.
So what happened now? All the Chinese major organizations said, "Okay, we're just gonna drop everybody," and they did. All the major players are without a team at the moment. If you go on the official Valve website, there's a section that lists all the players and all the teams.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much, if you search for the Chinese players, nobody is in any team right now, except for some. There have been some teams that started forming up right now.
Okay.
Overall, it's a good thing because first of all, we avoid the situation when you're gonna get kicked out of a team on a really short notice,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps. Uh, it helps create better and more long-standing teams. Usually, before after a major tournament, teams will just pick and choose the best players,
Yeah.
and the roster would either work fantastically or just lose in the qualifier stage because you have the best players in your team, but there is no synergy. Some players don't interact well with others, as we've
Yeah.
seen with Team Secret many times.
Yeah.
Team Secret
That can happen.
Team Secret at the moment is pretty much a band of mercenaries. They pick the best players, but looking at their past results, they haven't done so great with this strategy. Poppy is a great captain, but the players haven't synergized so well, and they've changed the roster so many times. Right now, a lot of teams have dropped really good players, and we'll have to see where they go. For example, Alliance, and if you saw that, you know who Alliance is. They're one of the oldest teams in Dota 2. Have dropped 3 players, leaving only Loda and I actually forgetting and somebody else, but I can't remember his name right now. They're only the only players left in the team. Emerald Bulldog, S4, and I'm forgetting his name. I can't remember it right now. Have gone their separate ways. EG dropped Sumail, dropped Fear, which is the oldest player in Dota 2, and a lot of people are speculating whether he'll come back as a coach because he's really old for a esports player. He's 27, I think. He either come back as a coach or retire.
Now, are a lot of old players coming back as coaches?
We haven't seen that many players come back as coaches. We've seen personalities or casters coach. We've seen Nahaz, who usually is an analyst, a panel analyst, coach complexity right now. Another veteran of the scene was Demon from the Philippines. He's a player from the Philippines who had a team and played at the international but disbanded.
Okay.
And we have Cinderan once again, who is playing. He was a player, then became commentator and caster, and now he's a player in Escape Gaming. We haven't seen many old players, veteran players, come back as coach.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. This is a lot of information, man.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is going on at the moment.
I mean, I remember, I can remember a lot of the big names, Aoi 2000, and a lot of those people that have been at the internationals several times, and I can't remember where they're moving, or if they move around, where they go. That can be really difficult for me to follow, because I follow very closely with Overwatch, and that's difficult to follow the roster changes. So, but it's interesting to hear what has been going on with some of the names that I know. But
yeah, it should be easier now to follow these changes, because you're gonna hear, hey, there's a shuffle period right now. Okay, you can tune in, follow the changes, and then the teams won't change anymore until the next major tournament, or maybe they'll change that as well. That even the major tournament has changed. Last year there were 3 majors that concluded with the international tournament, and now there are only 2 majors and 1 international at the end of it.
Yeah, I think a lot. Personally, I think all leagues should follow something similar. Maybe even drop it down to you can only trade so many times per year or something, or per season. But
yeah,
having that shuffle system seems that might make it a little bit easier for people like me to follow the trades and everything.
It also helps teams better sort their inner problems. Usually the biggest problem with teams is there are either a lot of misunderstandings between them, and they lack team synergy. Although individual, they're all great players. As I said, Team Secret usually has these problems.
Yeah,
And
because
also, it's okay. Navi also had this problem for a very long time. Navi is also one of the few teams that didn't suffer a roster change post TI. They are the same. Dandy is still there.
Yeah,
I suppose you know about Dandy. Dandy is still there. They're playing better now. The way I see it and understand from interviews and other articles is that Navi is finally working together as a team. There isn't so much tension between the players as it was before.
Okay.
So that's a plus of the fall shuffle system.
Now, isn't Team Secret more? Don't they tend to look for players that are just good rather than the players that can work well together?
Yeah, that's why I call them a band of mercenaries, because they pick the best players and put them together in a team. Despite how they may synergize or work together, understand each other, there have been tensions between some players within Team Secret. Most of when Team Secret first formed, it was a very, very strong team. It was pretty much stomping over many, many, many teams. You would consider a super team.
Yeah.
Now they haven't done so well. Also, the International 6 proved in many ways that teams that have been sticking together for a very long time, beside the meta was all over the place, this tournament, have had better results. Although OG, which was the strongest team this year overall, because they won 2 majors, and a lot of 1 or 2 tournaments they placed first. They felt really, really early into the main event and were eliminated by a Philippines team, and the Philippines is quite a new region in Dota.
Now, is it okay if we touch on the international just for a minute or two? I know it's old news at this point, but still, I mean, it's a huge tournament of the whole year, so I kind of wanted to know your thoughts on it. For me, Uh, I I was rooting for DC. Like I saw how much of an underdog they were, and I just kind of naturally drew to them, and seeing how they just dominated so much in the whole tournament up until that last match, that last couple matches. It was kind of amazing to watch. But I followed a couple of different teams, that were my favorite, like Secret.
Hmm.
Uh, but mostly I was trying to follow Digital Chaos. Just I mean I seemed to, when they showed up on screen and talk about did their interviews and stuff, I just kind of felt you know uh, they felt natural, and
Yeah.
so do you want to touch on your thoughts on just the whole international? How are the matches? How are the brackets? Anything that you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, we can talk about the international. There have been a lot of great things about the international. The production was phenomenal. If they managed to blend the seriousness of important tournament, of a premier tournament, with the relaxed, goofy nature of esports, and
Yeah,
Dota usually tends to go this way, blending these two together. We had, as you said, DC played phenomenally. They rose from the lower bracket and reached the finals, and I also was rooting for them, mostly because we have a somewhat Romanian player, which is Wiha, and I'm Romanian, so I'm usually biased towards him.
yeah,
Also, I was I wasn't against. I really liked Wings as well because
okay,
they're so unpredictable. Their hero pool is very broad.
yeah. When
All
I
in,
watched them, sorry.
it's okay. It's okay.
There,
Go,
there's some lag between us, isn't there?
mate. I don't know. I'm hearing you okay, but
Okay.
please.
Anyway, yeah. When I watched Wings, there was something about them I didn't like about the team specifically. It might have been like how they presented themselves with kind of a cocky attitude. That's how I felt anyway. But I absolutely loved how they played because it was so random. Like I don't know a whole bunch of each, hero or anything like that, but
Mhm.
I know some general things. But just how their team composition was just all over the place, and I think that might have been what really hit DC in the end.
Yeah, it was also usually at the international there is a meta that is set, but this year there've been, I think, almost all of the heroes have been played. Something 109 out of 110 heroes have been played.
Yeah,
Usually the number is much smaller, and this came to the advantage of Wings, who have a gigantic hero pool to pick from, and most of the teams found it really hard to counter them specifically. What should usually see in any MOBA is, okay, I know that player is good with these heroes, so I'm gonna ban them according to their strategy. There
yeah,
usually be a set of heroes that must be banned against a team, but Wings didn't have that specific set of heroes. We also
yeah,
seen the techies Pudge combination being played at the finals,
yeah.
which was actually
I
fantastic to see.
I, I was kind of surprised how the last few brackets that they were in, that DC just kind of pretty much wiped the floor with them, and then they came back and did the exact same thing to DC. I was extremely surprised at how that those last few brackets turned out with Wings and DC. It was amazing. My heart was pounding. I was I was sweating. I'm like, come on, So
Yeah, I was also watching the games. I watched all the games. We were with I work at the Romanian website, and we were with the team watching the games, and it was like, come on, DC, we know you can do it. Each break we're like, oh man, I can't
yeah,
take this anymore.
yeah. It was an amazing tournament, and I hope that the quality that Valve put into that, I hope that they can just uh, I'm sure they're not going to go backwards, but I hope they can keep pushing forwards and making it better. And they even, you know, a lot of people
panel.
Yeah, that I mean, some of the the contests and stuff that where they pulled in, I think it was 12 people from the audience and played just a random death match of Dota.
That was the All Star.
Yeah, the All Star. That was kind of
interesting. This isn't the first time it happened. There was also an All Star match back at TI5.
Okay, I must have missed that one. I kind of TI5. I wasn't watching as heavily as TI6. I was pretty busy last year. But
the All-Star match is really, really great, even for the community, because you feel involved more and you get to play with your favorite players, as we've seen. Also, it's a great opportunity to reveal heroes, as we've seen with the reveal of Underlord this year. It should have been revealed at TI5, the way I understand it, but it's good we have it. We have him now.
Yeah,
and it's a great way to showcase him in a gigantic battle with 20 heroes.
Yeah. So with the production value, the AR that they had on stage, which was amazing, just everything that they did, and the VR that they had as well, which we'll actually touch on in a little bit, but just everything that they did was amazing, and I'd like to know what they're going to do next year, or if there's any speculations. I don't have anything because they just kind of raised the bar farther than I would expect every time. But we can move on from the international if you'd like. It was amazing, but
it was amazing. There are other amazing tournaments coming up. These days, today started the WESG, which is the World Electronic Sports Game tournament. Started today. It's a tournament pretty much focused. It's not as big as the international. It's mostly focused on the Balkan region.
Yeah.
We have Romania there, we have Bulgaria, we have Greece, and there are some great teams, mostly renowned because of their players. We are represented by Bone 7, by Rise and Come With Me. They formed the team and they'll be playing against another great team to mention is Broodmothers from Greece, because there's the Kun, who's a really great player. He's been having some interesting performances at the moment. Another great tournament that will be coming up, unfortunately, it will be sometime in December, but recently the qualifiers have ended in Europe. There is still a second qualifier stage to happen in China at the moment, but we had the WCA and we saw Vega Squadron's new roster against KIP's.
Okay.
And KIP actually won the game. Although it was a really tight fight, they won 3-2 in a best of 5 matchup in the finals. So we saw a bit of that and new rosters at play. Other than that, there aren't any major tournaments coming up. There is the fall major, which should be announced, but Valve being Valve and being really restrictive of what information they put out, they usually will put an announcement whenever they feel like it and whenever they consider it's the time to put up an announcement, despite the community feedback.
Yeah, that's what we call Valve time.
Yeah, the Valve time.
Yeah. Is there any time that we can expect a rough time that we can expect an announcement? Because that's definitely one I want to keep an eye on.
It will be either at the end of this month or at the end of October, beginning of November, something like that.
Okay.
Last year, if I'm not mistaken, it was in November, the Frankfurt Major.
No, sorry. Are you going to be covering like any of these in your articles on the site?
Yeah, I'll be covering the start. Right now, we will have the qualifiers to WESG, which have started. Unfortunately, there won't be an article about that. We might be covering the WCA Chinese qualifiers, because there is one final match to come up and their teams are interesting to follow.
Okay.
And the fall major, we will deliver news about it as soon as they come up.
Okay. Now, we don't have at the time of recording, we don't have a Dota 2 up on the site. Is that under general at the moment, or have you?
We haven't really talked about how we will divide the tattoo section. At the moment, I only know about that there will be the tattoo
Okay.
section.
Okay.
There are articles in the making right now. Some of my colleagues started making articles on specific subjects. There aren't any general news as far as I know.
Okay. Can you touch on what you're writing about first, or is that kind of let's hold off on that?
Yeah, let's hold off on that.
Okay. Okay.
And we'll see when the section will launch. There will be articles. There are a lot of subjects touched. There won't be just news. I've seen a lot of great ideas coming up from my colleagues, and I think a lot of people will enjoy something fresh rather than just, hey, this is happening right now. There'll be a lot of featured or editorial subjects covered.
Yeah, I feel that the Break the Game staff is like everybody seems to just like work so well together. You know,
Yeah.
these guys have some real passion. I can always expect some really nice things out of you guys. So I hope your article can come up soon, and we can. I know we'll get the. I know we're working on the Dota 2 side quickly, but hopefully that'll come sooner rather than later. If we get a general date on that or when it gets released, the Dota 2 section, then we'll definitely announce that on here. So
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to talk about the current Dota 2 news is the fall update, which should be also coming pretty soon right now. After the international, we were given a trailer that portrayed a new hero, which is to some extent the first new hero that won't be directly ported from Dota 1, which is Monkey King. And the first it ain't actually a really new hero for in esports in general because it's the same Monkey King. It's Wukong in some MOBAs, in Smite, for example, which is
okay.
god themed. It's Wukong, the Monkey King god, and that is very interesting because it's the first Dota 2 hero that is not a direct port from Dota 1. But why did I say somewhat new hero? Because in Dota 1, Ice Frog, who created who kept updating the original mode and now works at Dota for Valve at Dota 2,
right,
made a secret quest that implied searching around the original Dota 1 map, breaking certain trees, and if you broke certain trees, you'd find a pitch. And if you found a certain amount of pitches, it would combine into a greater pitch. And if you drop it at the top, where the top rune spawns, alongside the Monkey King bar, Monkey King would come and give you 3 tasks. And if you manage to complete the task, it give you a special item, a very, very strong version of the Monkey King bar that give you a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So that was the first time we ever saw Monkey King in Dota, and now they're turning him into a hero. Alongside the fall update, there should be new major gameplay updates, as it is with every big patch Valve launches. So we're gonna see a new meta coming up.
Okay.
Maybe
Do we
new
have any
mechanics?
information at all on that,
No.
or is that Valve's pretty tight on that? Huh?
No, everything we know about Monkey King is from the trailer.
Okay.
There is a cinematic trailer that pretty much showcases all of his powers and abilities. There is some resemblance to another hero, which is Phantom Lancer, because I think it will be his ultimate. He snatched a small bunch of hair from his head and created a lot of illusions. Among his abilities are also, I think, the ability to camouflage or actually transform into a tree.
Oh.
Another thing that comes to mind, there might be a passive that grants him True Strike, because Monkey King bar is an item in Dota that grants you True Strike and a mini bash.
Okay.
Other than that, I've seen something that resembles AoE stun. But other than that, the fall update is pretty much secret at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I guess when that happens, we'll definitely have to bring you back on and touch on it. Make sure we get whatever information. So, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
No, this is pretty much all the news that there are at the moment.
Okay. Well, my my head is spinning right now. That was a lot. No, I'm good. Seriously, I'm all right. Thank you for all that information. Now, I did since I have you on here, maybe we can kind of touch on some of the virtual reality that they had at the International.
Yes, of course.
And I believe we have Steve hiding in the background there.
Hey, Steve.
Okay, cool. Now, I posted this article. Just kind of give some. It was just something interesting I saw. But virtual reality as a medium to watch esports and competitive gaming, I thought was really interesting because Dota, the Internationals, actually had some VR demos going on to watch Dota 2. So I don't know if you guys ever saw any of that or had any interest, but I thought it was extremely interesting, especially since we already have the Dota 2, in there.
Yeah, I didn't manage to actually use the VR. I saw the promotional content, which was that 10-second clip demoing how it would look through the VR goggles.
Yeah.
Aside from that, the only thing I saw close to it was the AR, the augmented reality presentations that were going during the drafting phase.
Okay. Did you, Steve, see anything, or have you tried it or anything like that?
No, I haven't tried it, but I definitely watched the trailer and it looks freaking ridiculous. I mean, it looks awesome. I hope that it expands into more esports and games because it just looks ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. So I actually have the Vive, and I obviously have Dota 2, so I can watch it. I actually watched the Internationals in VR.
Oh, how was it?
Man, speechless, man. It was amazing. I was actually okay. One of my friends was supposed to come over in the middle of the week, and I forgot to call him because I was in there. But okay, so the trailer to start out with, the 8 to 10 second trailers, is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, okay. that trailer that showcased the huge map in front of you and with the heroes by the side, on each side, and you could see their stats if you actually pointed your controller at them. How was it?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's definitely a part of it, but they've added so much more since that little release trailer months ago, or a couple of months before they actually released it. But so I'll try to paint the picture for you and anybody listening. But if you haven't seen it, you got the room that you're standing in. It's kind of open, but you have a map on a giant slab where you can watch basically the mini map from the and some stats to the left and right of that map of the experience and gold earned.
The usual graphs at the network graphs and experience game.
Yeah. The two graphs on the side, right next to the maps, and then you have your heroes all lined up on the left and the right side, which are life size. I mean, they're gigantic.
What I want to ask you about is the map. How clear is the image? Like, it's a huge. Usually, if you look at the big screen,
Yeah.
The image is really good, but you can't see the details that well. How well did you manage to see everything on the map?
It's a lot better, a lot easier to see. Because the with VR, currently the pixel ratio, how the actual resolution of it isn't the greatest, but it's still really good. I mean, you totally forget about being able to see the pixels like pretty much instantly. But the map was probably about I want to say like 10 by 10 foot, so it was
Is it
fairly large.
customizable?
Not at the moment, no.
Mm-hmm.
But it just kind of it's just the mini map, just really large in front of you that you would see on screen. So it is definitely viewable, no problem.
And what about the hero stats that they were showcasing? Pointing at a hero and seeing everything. How well does that work with following what's going on in the meantime?
Well, with so far, what I was seeing, I was pretty focused on the matches itself, but I definitely took a look around. What I saw with the heroes, you would underneath their statues that they had were the items that they had on them, so you could at least see that and how many and the timers. If there was like a countdown on an item, it would show that and everything. And then so that's about the only information that I noticed on the actual heroes. But there is other stats like the KDA and anything else that you would want to know next to the giant screen that you would watch the game on. So you could actually point and click and choose which ones you wanted to keep track of.
Did you see what PGL did at the Manila Major when they had that battle view? Did you happen to see it?
I did not see that.
I did not either.
Because when you said stats by the side of the screen, I immediately remembered about the PGL battle view. What they did was create an overlay, which had at the top where the heroes would usually be displayed, the overall HP of each team. And to the sides, in the center of the screen, there was each player's facial cams, health bar, mana bar, and cooldowns for everything. And I was thinking maybe it was something like that, but in what PGL did was cover a lot of the screen. A lot of people complained about it because it either overloads with information, and it's really hard to follow everything that's going on the screen.
Oh yeah.
And usually interferes with what is happening behind the overlay, which is the actual fighting. Some heroes would get behind the overlay and you couldn't see them properly.
Oh no, there's actually nothing like that in the VR. It's
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
now you can put the overlay to the side.
Yeah, it's actually fixed off of screen, so your screen is pretty much unobstructed completely. And I mean, this is like a 50-foot screen that you're watching it on. So I'm sitting on my couch, and I've got the mini map right in front of me, and I'm watching this like 50-foot screen and listening to the casters going, and I'm just like, I'm getting chills. I'm like, oh, this is But then one of the best parts, which would be amazing in other esports as well, is when you point to the map, you can actually click on it, and it will teleport you inside the map.
Oh, that's awesome.
And like you can, it's a good a good radius that you can see. They limit your view because of probably how much information is streaming and the rendering in the computer. But I mean, you can see the battles clearly, and you can change the sizes so that they're little figurines all the way up to life size.
That's actually awesome. That's what you usually dream about, being in the middle of a team fight and watching everybody fight and dialogue nearby you.
This was, I mean, I had I think it was Juggernaut. He did his ultimate, and it scared me because I was right next to him. I actually like flinched.
You're like touching yourself. Is he slashing me now? I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I felt it was actually easier to follow. Like I can follow Dota, but
Mhm.
pretty well. Every once in a while, there's like a moment. I'm just like, I'm lost for a second. Okay, all right, I understand what's going on. But
Mhm.
it felt a lot easier where I didn't have to, it just it was there. I knew what was going on at all times. But
Yeah, probably. Uh,
it,
what I want to say is it would be awesome just have like a bird's eye view, standing on a cliff and watching the team fight happen. That's a good experience to have. Probably.
it kind of felt like that because when you made it figurine size, it was at your feet, and you were just looking down, watching, and you could teleport within the map at any point, and you could even click the menu button, and it would teleport you to the exact same spot that the casters were looking at and commentating
Mhm.
on. So, but that was just amazing watching that in VR. Definitely gonna keep doing that. But I put this up because I wanted to know, maybe just, I guess you guys didn't really know too much about it, but maybe your thoughts on this transitioning over to others, or how this can help with the actual viewership.
The first concern that comes to mind is it a pleasant experience even after you finish watching? Like eye strain comes to mind. Is it difficult to keep up with what's going on?
No, it's fairly simple. If you know the game, it is easy to follow. So that's not a problem. Uh, I showed my dad because he was interested in watching it.
Mhm.
I showed him, and I was in VR, and I had it on the big screen so I could point to things and show him, just kind of get him educated on the game itself. But for me, there's really no eye strain because your eyes are actually adjusting to like a long distance rather than the screen, because it's tricking your eyes.
How much did you watch? How much did you actually stay plugged in?
Oh man, uh, not as much as I wanted,
In
but
hours?
definitely a couple hours. I think I watched
Mm.
uh, the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I watched almost everything that I could. So at least 2 to 3 hours each day.
Mhm. Because
And
I haven't followed the VR scene all that much, but what I heard is that it's a great experience, but it can get nauseating at some point.
it can, if at certain points, if you're doing artificial locomotion and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
for the most part, I don't get sick at all. I know a friend that does pretty easily, but for the rare occasions. But there is, I guess, Sliver TV is an app that is trying to bring out, help VR become the medium to watch competitive gaming. It's only mobile right now, and I guess they're looking at making a Rift and Vive app. But so if you can get like a Google Cardboard or something and get that app and watch some VR competitive games, might be something to look into. But I mean, I think it would definitely be really fun to watch your any competitive game in VR. It'd be crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a first-person shooter
Oh
in
man,
VR.
you,
I
you,
just
you
can't
definitely
imagine.
you definitely can't like follow, like be in the first person view, because that would get you really sick. Definitely, it would probably make me dizzy. But I think maybe if Blizzard gets a better spectating mode, or I guess Counter-Strike probably might need one as well, to be able to do VR. It definitely has. It's very different than standard flat gaming, but if it's done well, I think it'd be absolutely amazing to be able to watch competitive games in VR, especially with what Valve has done with Dota 2. It's ridiculous.
What I'm thinking about is rendering like the whole scene. You don't have to travel to Seattle to be there. If you have a ticket or a digital ticket, you could just uh, have some way permission to view it through the VR and
Yeah,
be there alongside other spectators.
yeah, Yeah, you can. That's what the Dota has. You can either do a private lobby or a public lobby, and you can be around other people as well.
Yeah, no, I actually mean being there.
Oh,
You
okay.
don't have to actually travel to Key Arena and take a seat. Be in the heart of the crowd and watch the game as you are there.
I think
As you have been there.
I think that they're doing that for traditional sports. I believe they're trying that for like basketball, which that is actually I didn't even think of that. That is a really good idea because I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, because the best thing about attending events is pretty much the crowd, because you get so hyped and so pumped up when something goes well. The crowd just uh, amplifies the any success or the failure of a team. It's an overall feeling in the scene among the spectators.
Yeah,
It just make just makes viewing a tournament so much better from inside the venue, or by attending it.
I definitely had that feeling when watching the internationals. I have a really decent pair of headphones for my VR headset, but so being able to hear that through that headset rather than TV speakers, but and I'm sitting there on the map watching them, and then I hear the crowd erupt, and I really got chills every time it happened. It was like, oh, this is amazing. So I think yeah, being able to hear that crowd or being able to feel like you're there would also be kind of a really cool way to watch it as well. Because I would love to go to a tournament, but there's nothing around me. I live in the Midwest, so I think the closest one that I know of is generally on the East or the West Coast.
Yeah, that was why I was talking about actually attending through VR, because I live in Europe, and traveling to the USA is first of all very very expensive. Just the plane ticket, it costs a fortune, and then you have to set up a place to stay while the event is going on, which is quite expensive. But also you have to compare this expensive with the expenses of having a good PC, because you need a good PC to run VR, and having the actual kits for one of them, because they are really, really expensive.
Yeah,
hardware at the moment.
I believe I don't quote me. I believe I saw that Blizzard was actually doing a VR for their BlizzCon this year, so you could be there in virtual reality, which would be interesting. Sorry, Steve, did you have any input on this? We were kind of like,
oh, you guys are totally good. I'm just amazed by this. I'm just kind of just in the background listening. I haven't done a lot into it. I've watched a lot of videos, and I've watched a lot of people stream games on VR, but I haven't seen how many amazing things corporations are doing with it. So I'm just kind of fascinated sitting over here.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely something new. It's crazy. I love it. I get chills just thinking about possibilities, and especially with competitive gaming. But I mean, if you don't have anything, if you don't have any questions or anything, we could probably move on. But main thing, if you haven't tried it, try it absolutely. But,
alrighty, I'll definitely hop on that.
But yeah, I don't have anything. I could just like you guys could, you could keep going on about Dota 2. I could go on about VR and Dota 2, competitive gaming, everything.
We could switch to other games, because another question that comes to my mind is, how does the experience change from game to game? Because it's one thing to see in a third-person view or out of the bodies of the specific heroes how they fight, and it's one thing to see like in Call of Duty, which is a very, very dynamic shooter. People are flying everywhere, jumping off trees, walls, and everything. How would it be to actually spectate one of the players there, to see their view, but from VR?
Now, if you're looking at like their view specifically, that would definitely make you like ill or dizzy.
Yeah.
But then if you're watching third-person view, that could be better. But
how easy would it be to actually follow everything that's going on? Because there might be certain maps, and I know in Call of Duty there's a jungle map which is really.
I think some games might be kind of difficult just because you gotta, in Dota it's like, where for the most part it's stuck, the battles are all stuck in one spot.
You need a different approach from genre to genre, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely going to be that it's experimental. So but we'll just have to kind of see as things go along. Hopefully we can get some people that can think of things that would work.
Hearthstone would be interesting to see in VR.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Seeing life-size actual when you play a card, the actual creature comes to life in front of you and they battle. It's fantastic.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it'd be like watching an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Quick thing. I'm not. This will have to be the end of it. But quick thing on that note, it's not competitive gaming related, but Square Enix has announced a VR game that is actually just that. It seems like a card game where creatures come to life.
I think I saw it at some point, but I didn't read into it.
Yeah, I didn't read too much into it. I wanted to wait until they actually gave their announcement because this is just kind of like a leak or a teaser or something. But that sounds so. There's going to be a Yu-Gi-Oh style card game, anime I think it's anime style, but Yu-Gi-Oh style as the cards. So, but on that note, we greatly appreciate Radu. Your insight and information about Dota 2, and we hope to have you back soon, especially when we've got some major updates that will probably be very shortly.
I'll be gladly coming back with more updates. Thank you for having me on the podcast, Ronnie.
Yep. Thank you very much.